My name is John Francisco, and this is my Advanced Sessions podcast about producer and MC Ian Matthias Babbitt's, or Aesop Rock. He grew up in Long Island and started his career in the underground hip-hop scene in New York City as an MC in the late 90s. He adapted the name Aesop Rock from a play he was in high school. The character's name was Aesop, and he just stuck with it. Aesop Rock has a very unique style of alternative rap, sometimes called stream of conscious. He uses this along with dark undertones to make a very unique style of hip-hop. The first album he released was produced by Dub L and Blockhead. It was done while he was attending Boston College. He released the album himself on the CDRs and sold only around 300 copies through grassroots internet campaigning. 2 years after this, he produced his entire second album entitled the Appleseed EP, which he also self-released on CDR. Due to the fact that it was released on CDRs, there was only 1,000 copies. However, this was enough to make a stir in the underground. 1 year later, in 2000, he was signed to Mush Records and released his second full-length album entitled Float. This was his first major release and was well received in the underground scene. The production was split between him and Blockhead, who he'd been working with for a few years now. In 2001, he would sign to Definitive Jux Records with Def Jux and released Labor Days. This album is what put Aesop Rock on the map in the underground, with the hit singles Boombox and Daylight. Over the next 2 years, he would make a dozen features with names such as Atmosphere, Mr. Lift, LP, Blueprint, and Murs, along with producing a few tracks for various Def Jux artists. 2003 saw the release of his second album, entitled Bazooka Tube, followed in 2005 by Fast Cars, Danger, Fire, and Knives EP, again keeping his name relevant in the underground hip-hop scene. One of the first major productions he did was when he teamed up with Nike and released a 45-minute continuous instrumental track that was intended to be listened to running or jogging. The same year, he released his much-anticipated and completely self-produced album, None Shall Pass. This would be his highest-selling album to date, with over 70,000 copies sold. This album demonstrates his talents as an MC, highlighted by his production abilities. 5 of the songs he produced by himself, while additionally co-producing the rest. The album highlights his unique production style, in which he uses samples, old-school style turntablism, along with funk-inspired melodies and sometimes dark moods. What I think his greatest accomplishment as a producer, however, is in 2013 he teamed up with Kimya Dawson to release Hokey Fright under the band name The Uncluded. He originally came into contact with Kimya Dawson because he wrote her a fan letter in which he is quoted saying her response was, "Okay, cool." They would eventually work on each other's projects, and when Kimya was working on Aesop Rock's None Shall Pass, they decided that they should keep this going and make The Uncluded. The Uncluded name comes from a book by Michael Bernard Loggins, in which unclude is a verb that he made up, which means keeping things you don't appreciate out of your life. This production highlights his unique talent because Kimya is a folk guitar player and he works in his indie rap style. At the time, they both knew someone who had just passed away due to cancer. And the lyrics in the album are very dark, but has a very upbeat guitar playing for contrast. Aesop says in the interview, "Want to see two crazy people try and figure out what's going on in life, but offer no real answers?" The entire album was written and produced by Kimya and Aesop, with the exception of the drums on Delicate Cycle, which were done by the drummer Phil Tango. With his masterful blend of hip-hop and folk, Aesop shows yet again his unique production style and ability. As for now, he remains in the underground as one of the most all-around talented acts.